In the last class, we discussed different motivation concepts in which we discussed the motivational theory and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then theory X and theory Y. And today we are going to study the application of motivation concepts. That how are these motivational concepts actually applied in organizations in real life. Assalamu alaikum, students. Hope everybody is fine. So, first of all, research on motivation focuses on approaches that link motivation concepts to changes in the way work is structured. How have you formulated different type of motivational strategies, and what is the result that you are getting out of it? That if you are trying to motivate your staff, if your staff is motivated, what is the kind of output that they are producing? And if the staff is not motivated, then how does it affect your work performance? So organizations conduct research on motivation, and they focus on approaches that link motivational concepts to changes in the work, how the work is structured. Research in job design, that how the job should be designed so that it is very encouraging for the people who are working in that job capacity, and people feel good working in that environment. So research in job design suggests that the way the elements in a job are organized can increase or decrease effort, and also suggest that those elements are we will first review the job characteristics model and then discuss some way jobs can be redesigned, because if the jobs become boring, then they have to be redesigned. Especially what happens is that a person does the same job over and over again for the same week, then for the whole month, 4 weeks in a month, and then 52 weeks in a year. So you have to redesign the job at a point in time, or rotate the person to do some other job, so that it becomes creative for the person who is doing the job, and they have a challenge and they become happy. Job characteristic model. So our main focus today would be on job characteristic model. What are the 5 core characteristics you need to understand, and you need to focus on those, because then we are going to be elaborating each and every of those characteristics as we move forward. It was developed by the job characteristic model was developed by Richardson, and Gregg. And the job characteristics model, JCM, describes any job in terms of 5 core dimensions. So every job has 5 core job dimensions. One is skill variety, that what is the type of skill that is acquired by a person, or that is demonstrated by a person in an organization. Skill variety is the degree to which a job requires a variety of different activities, so the worker can use a number of different skills and talents. So if a person is assigned to a job where he or she can display a number of different job talents, they have a changing environment rather than a monotonous same environment throughout the 52 weeks. So the work of a garage owner, now if a workshop owner, he has a multi variety job. So a lot of his skills are needed to run a workshop. The work of a garage owner operator who does electrical repairs, rebuilds engines, does body work like denting, painting, and interacts with customers scores high on the skill variety, that he has to interact with customers, deal the customers, then he has to look after the workshop where engines are being maintained, tuning is being done, and all the other engine work is being done. Then he has to look at the electric shop where all the electric work of the car is being carried out. Then he has to pay attention to the body shop where the body work is being done, denting of the vehicles and then painting, right? And this person is also meeting the customers and uh, making sure that they remain happy while they are at the workshop. So this job is full of skill variety. That's why it scores high on skill variety. Now we look at another job. This is however, the job of a body shop spray painter, all he is doing is he is just spray painting cars from morning till evening, every week after week till a month, and then in 52 weeks his main job is just spraying the vehicles with paint. So the job of a body shop spray painter who works 8 hours a day scores low on the skill variety dimension, because he is only displaying one skill of painting a car. So it scores low on the skill variety dimension. Then we look at the task identity. Task identity is the degree to which a job requires completion of a whole and identifiable piece of work. So you are given a task. A task is a set of activities that you have to complete, and the task identity is the degree to which a job requires completion of a whole and identifiable piece of work. That this is the assignment that you have to complete before 4 o'clock today. So it is a task and it is a whole and identifiable piece of work. The cabinet maker who designs a piece of furniture, who makes different types of furnitures, and he selects the wood, then builds the object and finishes it to perfection, scores high on task identity. You have given that carpenter, a cabinet maker, a task that you have to build a cabinet before the evening finishes. So that cabinet maker, first he selects wood, then he builds the cabinet, and then he finishes it to perfection. So he is all the day involved in different tasks to complete one big task of finishing a building and finishing a cabinet. That's why this activity scores high on the task identity. A job scoring low on this dimension is operating a factory lathe solely to make table legs. A lathe machine is like a machine, a grinding machine sort of a thing, where you just put a piece of wood near it, and then you have to shape the legs of the table. And the whole day, this person is just taking a piece of wood and then converting that piece of wood into a table leg. So this is a monotonous job, and this is the same kind of job that this person is doing the whole day. That's why this job scores low on the task identity dimension. And task specifications and task significance. What is the importance of that task? Task significance. Task significance is the degree to which a job affects the lives or work of other people. You are doing a task, how does it affect the life of your other co-workers? So task significance is the degree to which a job affects the lives or work of other people. The job of a nurse handling the diverse needs of patients in a hospital intensive care unit scores high on task significance, because she is taking care of patients, and the patients are benefiting from the task that she is performing. So the job of a nurse handling the diverse needs of patients different types of needs of patients, because patients who are in ICU, their situation keeps on changing. Sometimes they need a drip, and other times they need an oxygen mask, and yet another time they might need some injections or some medicine. So and the nurse regularly has to take their temperature. She has to see whether their blood sugar levels are under control and their blood pressure is normal. So there is a variety of things that she is doing to keep the patient stable. That's why the job of a nurse handling the diverse needs of patients in a hospital intensive care unit scores high on task significance, because it is a matter of life and death for the patients who are in the intensive care unit. That's why its task significance is high. A janitor, on the other hand, who cleans your office floor, a janitor sweeping floors in a hospital scores low, because all the day he has just one task significance, that he cleans the office floor, and the people who walk on those floors, they feel good because the floors are good. So the task significance is not so important, and it is not impacting the lives of other people. Autonomy is how much freedom that you are giving your workers. Autonomy is the degree to which a job provides the worker freedom, that I have assigned you a task, and now I'm giving you freedom that you can choose any topic from my last two presentations, and you can present that topic. This is task freedom. Okay, now it is up to you to select any topic from those two presentations that I have already done. Similarly, this week you will have freedom of choosing any topic either from today's presentation or from the one that will take place on Thursday. So autonomy is the degree to which a job provides the worker freedom, independence, that they can do things on their own, they don't need somebody's support, independence, and discretion in scheduling work. It is up to you to find a time suitable to you. So it is on your discretion that you can decide when you need to prepare the presentation, so that you are ready on Friday to deliver that presentation. So it is giving you discretion in scheduling work and determining the procedures in carrying it out. So when you have discretion and when you have independence and freedom of work, you can schedule your work. Okay, I will do this work first, then this work on the second priority, and this task on the third priority. And then you determine the procedures in carrying it out. That what type of a procedure would I follow to carry out and complete this task that has been assigned to me. Now we take the example of a salesperson. A salesperson who schedules his or her own work each day. So she has freedom and he has freedom to schedule their own work, and describes on the most effective sales approach without supervision, has a high autonomous job. So they decide on their own that what type of a sales strategy that they are going to adopt, and nobody is supervising them. They have been given this task and they have been told that these are the 60 shops where you need to go and sell the product. So they can schedule their work. Okay, I will cover this market in the morning, then this the second market in during afternoon, and the third market in before the evening ends, so that when I come back to the office in the evening, I have covered all the shops that needed to be covered and taken orders from them. So this job is highly autonomous, where a salesperson who schedules his or her own work each day and then decides on the most effective sales approach without supervision has a highly autonomous job. A salesperson, on the other hand, who is given a set of leads, that you are sitting at the calling center and I hand you over a list of 50 people that you have to call. So I am not giving you any freedom. These are the 50 people that you must call today to justify your salary. And here's another list of 50 more people that if you make calls to these customers as well, then you will be given some sort of benefit or incentive. So a salesperson who is given a set of leads each day and is required to follow a standardized sales script with each potential customer has a low autonomy. His job is low on autonomy. Okay, because every time he picks up the phone, he is talking to somebody, he or she is selling them solar panels, because solar panels is what our company sells. So he has only one product and some accessories that you sell with the solar panels, and this is a monotonous job. He calls every customer and he tries to sell them the solar panel and their accessories. That's why this job is low on autonomy. Feedback. Feedback is the fifth dimension. So the first was skill variety, then the second task identity, then task significance, then autonomous job, and now feedback. Feedback is the degree to which carrying out work activities generates direct and clear information about your own performance. You're doing something, you're doing some work, and what kind of feedback do you receive during work hours or after work hours about the tasks that you have performed. High feedback job is assembling iPads and testing them to see whether they operate properly, right? So a high feedback job is that you assemble an iPad, Apple iPad, and then you test it and see whether your iPad works properly or not. So you are testing it yourself, you are a quality controls person yourself, then you are operating the iPad yourself to see whether it works fine. So there is a variety in the job that you are doing, and you get a feedback when the iPad is working properly and there are no problems to it. So then you put a OK sticker on it and you move it forward for to the packing department. Then there is another worker in the same factory, a factory worker who assembles iPad and then routes it to quality control inspector for testing, receives low feedback on her activities because his job is just to assemble an iPad and then send it to the quality control department for testing and for checking and everything. So he or she does not receive any feedback of how it went. That's why this job is low on feedback, low feedback on her activities. Now you have to turn to page number 241 of your book or PDF 276. There they have clearly explained this job characteristics model, and all the job characteristics are lined up on the left hand side: the skill variety, task identity, task significance, right? These three skills, since they are directly related with the tasks that are being performed, skill variety, task identity, and task significance, they have critical psychological states. Like, how does a person feel psychologically when he or she is performing these tasks? So these, the skill variety, the task identity, and the task significance, they translate into experienced meaningfulness of the work. That if you are very experienced and the work would be meaningful for you and you will enjoy your work, right? And you will have positive task identity and positive task significance. And every day when you wake up and you have to go to your job, you will be uh, interested to and motivated to go and do your job. And this experience meaningfulness of the work translates into personal and work outcomes. If you are motivated and if you are performing well, your team is performing well, then you will end up giving good output. So your personal and work outcome is high internal work motivation, and high quality work performance. Since you are internally motivated, your high internal work motivation translates into high quality work performance. So the type of work that you are producing is high quality work. Now, let's look at what happens in autonomy and then in feedback. Autonomy's psychological state is experienced responsibility, because you are given an autonomous job, nobody is supervising you, so you have to show your responsibility that now you have to complete that task on your own, and nobody is going to keep asking you after every hour whether, Ahmed, you have completed your task or not. Ahmed, is it finished? Are you about to finish? Have you finished 25% of the job, 50% of the job? Nobody is going to ask you these questions, but they want an outcome. So autonomy translates into experienced responsibility for outcomes of the work, and then it results into high quality work performance and high satisfaction. Since you are doing that work on your own, you produce high quality work performance, and you are highly satisfied that I did it myself. I designed the way I wanted to do it, and I scheduled my work according to my own wishes. So you have high satisfaction. Now, what is the type of feedback that people receive, and how does feedback impact their psychological state? Feedback translates into knowledge of the actual uh, results of the work activities. So if you have good knowledge of the actual results of the work activities, that these are the work activities that I performed, and now what are the results of these activities, the resulting outcome is low absenteeism and turnover. If you're getting good feedback and you are doing your work diligently, then there is low absenteeism and turnover in the organization. Absenteeism is that you are missing classes, you are not attending classes, so there will be low absenteeism. Why? Because you are performing tasks on your own, and the teacher is rewarding you appropriately. That's why you are happy and you are motivated. Your work quality, you are producing high quality work performance, and you are highly satisfied with your the task that you are performing. That's why, and there will be low absenteeism. You will not miss classes, and there will be low turnover. You will not switch from that organization to another organization in a short span of time. Motivating potential score. How to gauge all this that we have just explained? You need a measurement scale. Motivating potential score is the MPS, is a scale that you use, and we can combine the core dimensionals into a single predictive index called the motivating potential score. To be high on motivating potential, jobs must be high on at least one of the three factors that lead to experienced meaningfulness, and high on both autonomy and feedback. So you should give as much as possible autonomy to your workers. You should give good feedback to your workers, and they should be to be high on motivating potential jobs. They must be high on at least one of the three factors that lead to experience meaningfulness. What are those three factors? If job scores high on motivating potential, the model predicts motivation, performance, and satisfaction. With this will improve, and absence and turnover will be reduced. So if your job scores high on motivating potential and the model predicts motivation, performance, and satisfaction, this will improve, and the workers skill level will also improve time with the passage of time, and absence and turnover in the organization will be reduced, lowered or reduced. Job enrichment. How do you enrich the job of a person? uh, Same kind of a job that he or she is doing. If they're working in a laboratory and they have to test blood samples, so all the day from morning till evening they are testing blood samples, right? How are you going to enrich their job? Job enrichment expands jobs by increasing the degree to which the worker controls the planning, execution, and evaluation of the work. So it all depends on how much control the person has on planning the execution of that work and evaluation of the work. If they are planning their own work themselves, that okay, these are the 5 tests that I will do in the first batch, and then they will evaluate their work themselves, that the results that they have achieved after testing all of those 5 individual samples were then printed by them, and it was converted into a printed report. So they feed the data into the computer. That is a different skill that they should have, and it takes their mind away from the testing that they were doing. So they have a variety in their job. Their job is enriched as it has several other tasks that they need to perform, rather than just taking out a test tube and checking the blood sample, and then checking another blood sample, and then the third one, and so on. So job enrichment expands jobs by increasing the degree to which the worker controls the planning, execution, and evaluation of the work. An enriched job organizes tasks to allow the worker to do a complete activity. If it is an enriched job and it has a set of activities that need to be followed, and then the task would be completed. That first you take a test tube, then you check the blood samples, then you do various tests on it, you put it in a centrifuge machine, then you check it under the microscope, and then you obtain results. And after obtaining results, you have to enter the data into the computer and then generate a report and send that report to the pathologist for their remarks. So this is how you have completed one task. An enriched job organizes tasks, different tasks, to allow the worker to do a complete activity. This increases the employee's freedom and independence, and it increases responsibility, because the results that are generated by this person in the laboratory, they can affect the life of human beings. If that blood does not have a virus and this person writes it in his report that he does, so the doctor is going to start giving that person antibiotics, and the person might die because he didn't have virus or bacteria in his blood, and the lab assistant was not responsible, and he generated a false report, due to which the doctor gave a wrong treatment to that patient, and the patient suffered. On the other hand, an enriched job organizes tasks to allow the worker to complete an activity, and it increases the employee's freedom the independence, and it increases his responsibility. He has to do that job with a lot of responsibility, and then provide feedback so individuals can assess and correct their own performance. When they generate a report, they send it to the pathologist, they receive a feedback from the pathologist, and then they can correct their uh, set of activities that they are performing. Sometimes the pathologist says that the readings that you have provided are somehow not making any sense. So I would request you to run this test again and revisit that the things that you did. There must be something missing somewhere, or you forgot to enter one or two results. So you go back, you look at your manual sheet, and then you say, oh, I missed this one point, and then you go back and enter it into a computer. So you have received a feedback, and you are given an opportunity to correct yourself, and then you feel very satisfied when you have completed that task, and the pathologist has given his recommendations. Now this report is ready to be sent to the patient and their consultant doctor. So hospitals which are fully like automated, they are linked with the labs. When the labs generate these results, a copy is sent to the patient on the internet, and one copy is sent to the all the concerned consultants who are at that time uh, treating that patient, so that when the patient comes in the evening to see the doctor already has his report on the panel. All the doctor needs to do is put in his MR number, medical record number, into the computer, and all the tests that this person has, his blood sample, urine sample, his blood pressure, and other x-rays that were conducted, all the results come on the screen of the consultant. Now the consultant is in a better position to take a decision that what type of a disease does this person have, and what type of medicine do I need to prescribe, and for how many days this treatment is going to continue. Okay. Enriching a job requires a set of tasks that need to be performed. On one side, you take the core job dimensions that we have already discussed. They are on the right side: skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. And on the left side, you take suggested actions. That what are the actions that you suggest to enrich a job? You can combine tasks, that if a person is doing one task throughout the year, then his other colleague is doing another job, and they do that same monotonous job throughout the year. You can combine these tasks. That okay, what you both of you can do is that you one job would be connected to another, and both of you need to learn the tasks performed by each other, so that you can switch places if whenever the company allows you to do so. So if you do job rotation, and you make the like banks do this, that first the bank uh, makes you work as a cashier for 3 months. So when you are good at counting notes and identifying notes, then they move you from that place, and they give you another assignment of dealing with customers. Now you are made a relationship officer who deals with customers as they walk into the branch and solves their queries, fills out their vouchers and forms, and if they have to process a car loan or a credit card or anything of that sort, then what you are now you are doing is that you are in an interpersonal role, and you are facilitating your customers. Then after 3 months, they give you a job to as an assistant to the operations manager, and there that is a job specifically focused on operations. So you learn the basics of how operations in a bank branch are conducted, and what are the different tasks that are performed by an operation manager. So while you are rotated in different capacities, your skill level is moving up. And on a day where one of your colleagues is absent due to any reason, you can take their place, and you can carry on the duties of a relationship officer or a cashier, which are relatively simpler as against a operation manager, which are very complex. You just cannot take the start doing the jobs of an operation manager, but you can do a few things that will keep the branch going, and you perform those tasks and activities, so the branch keeps on moving. And then the branch manager, who is a skilled person, who has a grip on operations as well, because he has worked as an operation manager for 3-4 years prior to becoming a branch manager. So he helps you complete the tasks of a operation manager. Now, this was an example only focused at a bank. So these are different suggestion actions that can be taken. You can either combine tasks, or you can form natural work units, that you can assign people who are good at doing one type of job. You can make a natural work unit out of them, and they would be, if they feel good doing that work, it they will be, obviously they will remain motivated. They will have autonomy of completing that task, since they become skilled on doing it, and they will complete that task with responsibility. Now, people who are working at the Honda car assembly plant or Toyota car assembly plant, they do their work with responsibility. They are told to perform a set of activities and tasks that they have to do, and every worker is very responsible, because the car that they produce should be of high quality, and the respect that Honda and Toyota have gained from the uh, consumers all around the world should not should not be turned into negative points, because if any one of those workers is not doing their job responsibly, then the quality control department, while they're checking everything, they're going to find out. And if they, for some reason, if it slips their eye, then that problem will reach the customer, and then the customer will make a complaint, and that will look very bad. And the company never wants customers to complain, especially when they have recently bought a new car. Establish client relationships. You have to establish client relationships. This is a suggested action to enrich a job. And whenever two people interact, they are taken away from the monotonous routine that they were following, and they feel good, and they discuss different things, and it takes their mind off the robotic type of job that they were doing throughout the day. Expand job vertically. You have to keep on increasing the different tasks one over another after a period of time, so that that person's job is vertical. First he was just a worker, then he became a supervisor, then from a supervisor he moved on to a manager, and then from a manager to a group head, and so on. So there is vertical expansion in his job. Open feedback channels. You have to open feedback channels, so the person who is performing a task, they get feedback from different sources. All of these activities help in enriching a job. Now we look at what is job rotation. Job rotation, if employees suffer from routinization of their work. One alternative is job rotation. That just as we explained, that if a person is, for the last 3 or 4 months, he's just fitting tires into the car, then you take him out of that job and you assign him to an area where he has to assemble the doors, or where he has to assemble the seats of a car. So his job is changed at an assembly plant. If it is a restaurant, if a person is doing a waiter's job, you can change that job into a person who is facilitating the back end people who are working in the kitchen, or a person who is handling the takeaway orders and facilitating customers who are coming through the drive through. So you keep on rotating the job of people, so that they have something, there's a new challenge in their life and they have something different to do. So job rotation, if employees suffer from over routinization, there's a routine that you are following day in and night out for 52 weeks. So you suffer from over routinization of your of work, and the alternative that is available is that you offer that person job rotation, or the periodic shifting of an employee from one task to another. Sometimes organizations make a periodic shifting, like every 6 months the semester changes. So what you do is that you change some of the courses of the teacher, so that the teacher feels good and he has to new courses to take care to study, and then to explain to their students, and it becomes a challenge for the person, and the person has something new to do. So there's a periodical shift. This is what happens in universities, that every 6 months few of your courses are the same and the other few are changed, so that it does not become a monotonous work for the teachers, and the teachers also become skilled in teaching different courses. So for any reason, if on one day their colleague is absent, they can go into that class and they can teach the students in the absence of their colleague, if they do not have a class at that time. So if employees suffer from over routinization of their work, one alternative is job rotation or the periodic shifting of an employee from one task to another at the same organization level. This is also called cross training. Cross training, that you are trained into various types of job in the same organization, and you are at the same organizational level. Same organizational level means that if you are a supervisor, you will remain at the supervisor level. If you are a manager, then you will be given a task that different managers are performing. It cannot happen that a manager is be converted into a supervisor or a worker, right? They will be given job rotation at the same organization level at which they are working. Singapore Airlines does this. They rotate people on ticketing to baggage handling. For a few months, a person who is doing the ticketing and he is issuing boarding passes to the customers who are coming in, and taking care of all their little details, giving them baggage tags and everything. That same person is rotated and sent to the baggage handling department for a few months, and the people working in the baggage handling department are rotated to the ticketing or lounge handling facilities. right? That's how they remain at the same organizational level, and they have different tasks to perform uh, after every few months. So this is a periodic shifting, that it was decided by the organizations that every 4 or 5 months we would swap places of these workers, and that's how they will have something new to do, plus they will learn the new skill as well. So they will have a vertical growth by learning so many skills they can of the operations that are carried on by Singapore Airlines. Alternative work arrangements. There can be alternative work arrangements that are put into place to find out solutions of uh, for the different types of employees, and giving them some breathing space so that they feel good and they keep on doing their work with a lot of job responsibility. Alternative work arrangements can be another approach to motivation, is to alter work arrangements with flexi timings. Like with flexi timings, what you need to do is that a worker is required to work for 8 hours. So in the morning, if they have something special to do, or they need a break during the day for an hour or so to go and complete some of their personal tasks, so you give them flexi timings, that between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. you have how many hours? 6 and 4, 10 hours. So you have to work for 8 hours. 2 hours are flexi timings. You can adjust those 2 hours upward or downwards. Either you come in at 8 and you leave at 4, so you don't have to sit up till 6. If you came in at 10 because you had something important, some important task to do in the morning, you came in at 10 and then you work up till 6 in the evening to complete your task for that day. So these are flexible timings which are offered to employees in Europe. It is a practice, and people feel good that if they have to go somewhere to pick up their children during the lunch break, so they would go and they will pick up their children and drop them off at the house, and then come back to work, and then they would put in an extra hour in the evening. Rather than signing off at 4, they might sign off at 5 o'clock, and it keeps their family happy. They remain happy. Then their mind is taken off the work when they leave the office, go to pick up their children, then drop them off at the house, have a nice lunch at the house, and then they come back to work again. So they are charged, and they are in a good mood, and moods last for a longer time. We have already discussed that in moods and emotions. So when a person is in a good mood, so this flexi timing approach results in the good mood of employees, which results into higher work performance, okay, and higher work output. Job sharing is another technique, that if two employees are doing two different jobs, then what they do is that from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mr. A does this job, and then from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. he goes and completes the job of his colleague, and his colleague comes in and completes the task that he was performing. So in simple terms, if you look at the cashier of a bank, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. He works as a cashier. Then from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. he becomes a relationship officer. Similarly, a relationship officer uh, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. becomes a cashier. Whereas in the morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. he was a relationship officer. That's how both of these employees or colleagues are sharing each other's job, and they have something different to do during the same day. Then there's another technique that telecommuting. It is working from home that currently your teachers are doing. Your teachers work from home on a computer, and that computer is linked with the head office mainframe. They complete their task. Usually software engineers do that. They complete their task and then they upload the work that they have done. So a few days in a week, they don't come to office, and they work on the project that is assigned to them, and they keep on uploading the task that they have completed, as their computer is linked with the mainframe through the internet. And then they for 2 days he or she has to come to office, because then there are group meetings. All the people, different people who are working on the same project, they come together, they exchange notes, and they discuss the problems that each one of them is facing, and then they work out a strategy how to integrate all of their modules so that they complete their project on time. Now, these are likely to be especially important for a diverse workforce or employees caring for a sick or aging relative. So, this telecommuting is a very useful technique which is used when employees have full autonomy for the time that they are operating from their home. And if they are responsible, they keep on performing their tasks in an A quality manner, and the organization is happy, and this workforce becomes a diverse workforce, and it is good for the organization as well. And they can at times, if they have somebody to take care of a sick or aging relative, for example, if they have to take their mother to the hospital or get some tests done, so they can also do that in that telecommuting option that their company has provided them. So the employees remain motivated, and they put in their full effort to execute the tasks that have been assigned to them. So now we are going to recap what we studied. Our core focus was on the 5 core job dimensions, and they are in the job characteristic model. The job characteristic model focuses on the 5 core work job dimensions. One is skill variety, whereas we had discussed that the garage owner, he is looking after various type of work that is going on in the garage. At one place, the engines are being maintained and they're tuned, and engine work is being done in the engine area. Then he goes on to the body work area where cars are being dented. Then there's a paint shop area where the cars are being painted. Then yet another place, he goes and sees the electrical repairs. If there are wiring problems or any issues in those cars, electrical issues, all of those are being repaired in the electrical section. So he is controlling and managing and monitoring all of these sections. And on top of that, he is interacting with customers and finding out their queries and keeping them satisfied for the time that they are at that workshop. So this person's job scores high on skill variety, because he has a variety of skills that he is displaying, and that's what keeps him motivated. Whereas a person who is just spray painting cars, he is just performing one task and repeating that task over and over again, that person scores low on skill variety. Task identity. People if there's a cabinet maker, and first he has to select wood, then he has to make a cabinet, and then he has to do a finishing job on that cabinet. So there are a variety of tasks that he is performing. That's why he scores high on task identity. On the other hand, if a person is just producing table legs, and there's a lathe machine on which he is working, he just puts the wood piece near the lathe machine, and then he models the leg of the table, and puts it on one side. He takes another piece of wood and then convert that piece of wood into the leg of a table. So whole day long he is producing table legs. That's why his task identity is low. Task significance, here we discuss the intensive care unit, where the situation keeps on changing after every hour or after every few hours. And the nurse who is working in an intensive care unit, they are challenged on every different situation that is developed in the patients who are in the intensive care unit, and they have to be at high alert, because just half an hour ago this patient was very stable, and suddenly and now he is having trouble breathing. So you quickly need to apply oxygen mask on that person, and then you have to consult your doctor that this patient is becoming unstable, his or her blood pressure is dropping, and they're this, there might be something that really bad is going on with the patient. So the nurses are quite skilled, and they take care of the situation. They provide the required services on the spot, and then they inform the consultant as well that this is how the situation of this patient is deteriorating, and this is what I have done. What else should I do to save this patient? Then the doctor comes in, and both of them, they put their mind together, and since the doctor is more experienced, and they help that patient come out of that difficult or complicated situation. And that's why this ranks high on task significance. The significance of task is high. Why? Because it is the degree to which the job affects the lives or work of other people. The janitor sweeps the floors. That's why it scores low on job significance. Autonomy is the degree to which a worker is provided freedom and independence and discretion in scheduling their work and determining the procedure of how to do that work, how to determine the procedure and carrying it out. So first you give the worker freedom, then independence, they can work on their own, they don't need to be supervised. Then discretion in scheduling their work. You can do this work now and the other piece of work after the lunch break. And then you can also adapt the procedure of your choice, since you are very skilled in doing this job. Only then you give autonomy, such type of autonomy to workers. It does not happen that you have hired the worker and this is his first day in the organization and you give him all sorts of autonomy. Then he is going to mess up everything, because still he has to go through the learning process, and he and she has to understand how things work in your organization. And once they become experienced and skilled, only then you can take the supervisor's control of them, and you can let them go on a solo flight and do the work autonomously and on their own with freedom. We discussed the example of a salesperson who gets all sorts of autonomy to schedule their work and then decide how they are going to carry it out. That's why they score highly on autonomous jobs. And a person who is given a fixed set of instructions that these are the solar panels that you have to sell, and this is the list of 50 customers that you have to call and sell solar panels to each and every one of them. So his job is fixed and monotonous. That's why it is low on autonomy. But the only autonomy that he has is that he can call the customer number 10 first, and then call the customer number 20 and move on to customer number 3. So he can shuffle the arrangement of the list of customers that he's given. Otherwise, all his tasks are scripted and he has to follow the same task. Feedback is the degree to which activities generate direct information and it affects their performance. So, if an iPad person is assembling an iPad, then testing it himself, and then he checks it out whether it is operating properly or not. So, this person has received a good feedback and he rates scores high on feedback. Whereas a person who just does a piece of work, he just fixes the screws in an iPad or fixes the screen of an iPad and then moves it to the other worker in the assembly line, and then all once that iPad is complete, it is moved on to the quality control department, which is someplace else. So they don't receive a fair feedback of how uh, good they completed their task or not. However, the quality control department generates a report at the end of the day that today we received 25 iPads, and of those, 23 were working perfectly and 2 had issues. So then they are going to receive feedback at a very latest stage in time. That's why it scores low on feedback. Then we discussed how these skill varieties, task identities, and task significance, they impact the critical psychological state of workers, who translate it into experienced meaningfulness of the work, that this work is meaningful for them and their skill is relevant to the task that they're performing. Task identity, that if they're doing a variety of tasks, so they remain happy. And task significance, if their task is impacting other people, it impacts the life of other people, then they are highly internally motivated and they produce high quality work performance. Autonomy again is high quality work performance and high satisfaction, and it gives you more responsibility. So you have experienced responsibility, and which translates into high quality work and high satisfaction. Feedback results into knowledge of the actual work activities and their results, and therefore the outcome is low absenteeism and low turnover in an organization. MPS, motivating potential score, keeps you high on motivating potential, and the model, it predicts motivation and performance and satisfaction. So this model predicts motivation, performance, and satisfaction, and therefore they reduce the absenteeism and turnover. Job enrichment can be done by suggesting the different actions like combining tasks, forming natural work units. People who are like-minded, they can easily work with each other. So you form a natural work unit, then you establish client relationships. And if you establish client relationships, it will enrich your job, plus it will make long-term loyal clients, customers for your organization, which is a healthy thing for your organization as well. Then the jobs should expand vertically, and you should be open to feedback channels so that your employees keep getting feedback and they remain motivated. Job rotation, on the other hand, is cross training, that you have provided one type of training to the worker. He or she keeps working in that environment for 6 months, then you provide another training and you switch the job. You give different set of tasks to that employee, so they learn the new tasks and they are cross trained to perform various tasks in an organization. Example of Singapore Airlines were discussed. Ticketing staff were rotated into the baggage handling department, and the baggage handling department staff were transferred into the ticketing department, and they were trained to complete those tasks, and that's how their skill level enhanced, and they were motivated because they were doing a variety of tasks, and the work that they were performing was not monotonous. Alternatives work arrangements like flexi hours. You give a few hours flexible time, that if a person needs some personal time, they can go and do their own job, and then they come back and finish the task that was given to them by the organization. Job sharing: two people switch their jobs during a day, and they share each other's job, and so they have a variety of work to do in the same day. And then telecommuting, working from home, and facilitating an old or sick person at home, or a relative, or taking care of your tasks and at the company's work at the same time. Sometimes people need to sleep a little more in the morning, so rather than waking up at 7 because they have to reach their office at 8, they can wake up at 10. So they are happy, and then they put in their full effort till 8 in the evening to complete all the tasks that needed to be completed. And since their computer is linked with the mainframe, then they upload all the work that they have done. So the company is happy and the customers are happy. Now if you have any questions, please ask your questions. Mr. uh, Muhammad Siptan,
Yes, sir.
Ikra Murtaza, Jahzeb Shahid, Manur Tahir, Muhammad Hanan. Now you can ask questions on if anything is not clear or you need more clarification.
सर
Clear?
मुझे थोड़ा सा इस पे बता दें, मोटिवेशन पोटेंशियल स्कोर पे। मुझे जो अभी
MPS
तक समझ आई है वो ये आई है कि एमपीएस पे अगर आप अपने एम्प्लॉय को फ्री स्पेस देंगे तो वो इजीली काम कर पाएगा और उसका मोटिव बना रहेगा जॉब के लिए।
हाँ, हम इस पे उसकी वी विल गो ऑन टू दैट स्लाइड एंड ये देखें, we can combine core dimensions into a single predictive index. अब अपने जो 5 core dimensions study की थी, they were skill, variety of skills, then task identity, task significance, and autonomy and feedback. So you have to combine all of these core dimensions into a single predictive index, and that is motivating potential score. What are the 3 things that you are focusing on? This model predicts motivation, performance, and satisfaction. If you are motivated, if you are happy performing the different tasks that you are given, your work performance will be more. You will give better output, and you will remain satisfied as well. So if you are motivated, you are giving higher work performance, and at the same time you are satisfied and you are involved in your work, and you are energized and you are happy to carry on the task on a daily basis, then on a weekly and annual basis. ठीक है जी?
यस सर।
हुआ? क्लियर हुआ या नहीं हुआ?
हो गया सर।
कि अगर आप खुश होंगे, आप अपनी मर्जी का काम कर रहे होंगे, तो आप उस काम को, उसकी आपकी वर्क परफॉर्मेंस बेहतर होगी, आप ज्यादा से ज्यादा अच्छे तरीके से रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के साथ ज्यादा से ज्यादा काम की आउटपुट देंगे। और जब आप काम आउटपुट देंगे तो आपको फीडबैक मिलेगा कि वेल डन सिप्तैन, यू डिड अ गुड जॉब, सो यू विल बी सेटिस्फाइड के आई कंप्लीटेड दिस टास्क विद रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, एंड you give yourself a pat on the back that you good work Siptan, go get 'em. Understand? Anything else, beta?
नो सर, बाकी सब क्लियर है।
बाकी क्लियर है? उमर रऊफ, आपको कुछ क्लियर नहीं है तो बताएं।
सर क्लियर है सर।
क्लियर है सब?
यस सर।
ठीक है जी। Okay ji, thank you very much. Then quiz assignments and presentations. ये we have to complete